Live. Welcome to the Planning Committee at Lowestoft Town Council. In the event of a fire, please follow instructions and directions to the fire exit and make your way to the assembly point adjacent to the Quick Fit building. In the interest of openness and transparency, the law permits recording and photography to report on the proceedings of council meetings when they're open to the public. No flash photography or additional lighting should be used without prior consent. Anyone wishing to report on the meeting or anyone not wishing to be filmed or photographed should notify the clerk or chair. The meeting will be live streamed on YouTube. Therefore, please remember to speak clearly and use your microphone, remembering to switch it off when you have finished. As the chair of the meeting, I have the discretion to suspend or terminate the live streaming if, in my opinion, continuing to do so would prejudice the proceedings of the meeting. Improper conduct or disruptive behaviour will not be tolerated. Please raise your hand to indicate your wish to speak and wait for me to call upon you. As chair of the meeting, I will determine the order in which members will be invited to speak. To ensure the efficiency of the meeting, no member may speak for more than 3 minutes on one item or more than once. Therefore, please make your points as concisely as possible. Please may I also remind you to be polite and respectful towards one another at all times. Please put your phones on silent mode and put phones away for the duration of the meeting and adhere to the no smoking policy for this building and its grounds. We have tonight Councillors Christian Newsom, Andy Pearce, Neil Colby, Elise Youngman, Wendy Brooks, myself, Jen Jones, and Sarah Fitt, Town Clerk, and Taylor Williams, Committee Clerk and Planning Assistant. 115, to receive and consider approval of apologies for absence.
Yes, Chair, apologies received from Councillors Murray and Raffensperger with reasons provided.
Andy?
Propose acceptance.
Elise? And a vote, please. Is everyone?
Excuse me, Chair, is it appropriate time, Taylor, to record in the minutes that Councillor Pearce is here as a substitute and that Councillor Pearce has completed his mandatory training on planning? Thank you. Thank you.
116, declarations of interest and dispensations. Andy?
An interest as such, but when I was reading the Pathways application, it said that the design and access statement said that the development, if it goes, would be an alternative provision facility, like education facility. So just for openness, I'm involved with the local primary school on the school committee. The design and access statement didn't say what age group, didn't say what key stage, but there's a chance that if it covers primary school children, that children of the school I'm at could end up using it. So just for openness, I want to declare I'm not biased or predetermined. I didn't know anything about this until I read the application.
Okay. Any other declarations?
Actually, it's not. It is to do with the same application, but we've actually, as a council, we have actually worked with Pathways Care Farm, and we have actually paid them for work to be done.
This is
It's a question, really.
This application isn't on our land, is it?
No,
No.
it's on their land.
Yeah, so I think that's the difference. I think that's fine.
Okay. 116.2, to consider written requests for dispensations for interest and note dispensations granted. None received. 117, to consider the draft minutes of the meeting on the 9th of October 2025. Wendy?
Propose we approve.
Elise?
Second.
And a vote, please. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Andy, are you abstaining? Yep. Okay, thank you. 118, public forum, an opportunity for the public to make comments on any matters on this agenda and to consider any advance comments from the public. There's no members of the public here.
No advance comments received, Chair. No one's in attendance on the webinar.
Thank you. 119, planning applications. 119.1, to consider the following planning applications and decide the recommendations of the council. 3914, 53 Elm Tree Road. Wendy?
I can see absolutely nothing wrong with this. I propose we approve.
Okay, second, Andy?
Second.
And a vote, please. Is everyone? 40342. I'm not going to try and pronounce that.
No.
Thank you. Any comments? Any proposals? Wendy?
Well, as long as they obey the contamination, potential contamination, that East Suffolk Ecology Department has raised, I propose approval.
Okay. Andy?
Second, and I had the same caveat as well. I put recommend approval, noting environmental protection consultee response.
Any other comments? No, and a vote? Is everyone? 3291 Pathways, Leonard Drive. Wendy?
There are, when you read through all of the consultees' responses, there's a lot of conditions on this that they need to satisfy before they can go ahead. They've got fire and rescue, the fact that it's a place of scientific interest, there's an ecology report, there's a highways issue, there's I'm just checking it, yeah. So all of those things have to be done by the Pathways Care Farm before the application can go ahead. So that's all been highlighted. So, but one issue that isn't addressed is, and I don't know what we can do about it, is the increased traffic in the area that seems to be, from prior experience of a pupil referral unit, which basically this is going to be, and the issues over traffic with the neighbours, and it's a similar setup, that it's a small road. The school that I'm talking about is at the end of a road, and the amount of aggravation over traffic and parking is incredible. I would like us to, I'm basically in favour of it. There was aspects of, there was somebody who was mentioned, seeing on my warning signs go up. I think that aspect isn't really covered in the application. How are they going to manage the pupils and traffic on that site? And that needs to, I'm basically supportive of it, but I think that has to be addressed, because if it isn't addressed, it will be a nightmare.
Okay, thank you. Andy?
This is quite frightening because Wendy and me are on the same wavelength tonight. So can I just try and read out what I've written out and see whether it would satisfy what Wendy said? But I agree with everything she's just said. So what I wrote down was, some residents are concerned about the impact of increased traffic to and from the new learning centre on road safety, potential collision and parking. However, not mentioned in the Highways Consultee response, which deals mainly with traffic volumes and impact linked to the construction phase. I put recommend approval subject to such conditions as may be necessary to manage the environmental impact in accordance with the ESC Ecology and Natural England consultee responses, including measures to ensure biodiversity net gain, and to address and mitigate the concerns of residents regarding increased traffic volumes being attached to any consent.
Is that, yep. Okay, any other comments? No, and a vote? That's everyone. 36542 Burton Street, retrospective application. Andy?
I was a bit thrown by this one initially because I didn't originally notice it was a retrospective application, and I thought the charging agreement runs from January 25 to January 26, and they're putting in the planning application in November. How they're going to do a year's trial, and then I saw retrospective, so obviously the pod's already there. I put, it's a retrospective planning application, but we know that we've got this trial for the EV points in that area of town, so I just put recommend approval.
Second, please. Any other comments?
Yeah, I have a comment, which is recommend approval, but also I'd like us to make a statement to East Suffolk Council. Is it East Suffolk Council they're going to be paying, or is it Suffolk County Council they're paying? I think it's Suffolk County Council charging the money.
It's a Suffolk County Council project. Obviously, the planning authority is East Suffolk, but this EV trial is with the county.
Right. Well, so my point is that, I mean, this is becoming a bit of a national campaign, that because, the charging quite a lot of money to residents to put electric charging points on their properties is not exactly encouraging people to use an electric vehicle. So to actually say something, to say that we would like East Suffolk, the Suffolk County Council to look at ways of, you know, pressurising the government so that these fees, because this person's got to pay £1,000, haven't they, for the permission to have this on their house. There's a bit in there that says £1,000. It seems, you know, on the one hand, they're saying they want people to use electric vehicles, and then they're putting in planning rules that are making it very, very difficult for people and charging them. I don't know how we put that, but it's basically, I don't know. You basically want to encourage people to use electric vehicles. Therefore, you need to be looking at a more sympathetic planning system to allow people to do it.
Okay.
Does that make, do you understand what I'm saying? Could you add it to your?
I'm happy to add it as a rider, but not as a condition of the planning application, because it's a so if we can do that on a planning application, but then if the officers can add some narrative about you know, as a wider recommendation, could you consider this point? I have no objection to adding that to the proposal.
Okay, so you propose your second. Oh, Lee's second, sorry.
Yeah, so do you want the comments of that though submitted on the portal?
Yes.
Just kind of make it clear this is a general statement, having
Yeah.
noticed there's been.
So no way of condition on the consultative response.
And about. That's everyone. 3742 6 Suffolk Road. Wendy.
Very quick one, this one. I was delighted to see the Environmental Agency's comments. So like the Environmental Agency, I recommend refusal. It's on a floodplain, and that's it.
Andy.
This is frightening. I need to go and lay down. Exactly the same comments. All I did is I put recommend that we endorse the Environment Agency recommendation to refuse in the absence of an acceptable flood risk assessment. That was their terminology. Bring back for consideration if a flood risk assessment is forthcoming.
So you seconded?
Yep.
Yep. Any other comments? No. And a vote? That's everyone. 3750.
So that's the expired application.
Can't do this one, Jenny.
Oh, yep. Just noticed it underneath there. 3861. 209 Bopload Road. Elise.
Propose.
Andy.
This is the British Red Cross one, isn't it? So I'm pretty sure it was. So I'll second.
Comments? Vote. So everyone. 3878 54 High Street. Wendy.
I was quite surprised that there wasn't a proper heritage or conservation report in there. It was, I'm not against it, except it seems to be a bit sketchy on things like where are the cars going to go, where are the bins going to go, which have been raised by some of the consultees. So I think that has to be addressed. But I think I know which. I think it's the place. I think it's the Waveney, whatever. You know, it's quite big. It is a very, very big shop, for sure. But if they need to be able to satisfy, even though they say they don't imagine that people renting these flats will have cars, they have no way of knowing that. So they have to provide car parking space, and they have to provide place for bins, particularly in that area, which is a nightmare for bins being left out all over the place. And bike storage. So if they need to satisfy those conditions, then I'd recommend approval.
Okay. Andy.
Second. I've got recommend approval. Well, I actually put, I don't know if Wendy's willing to accept this. I had all the other bit. I put recommend approval subject to, because there was a heritage and impact assessment, but we haven't yet seen what the design and conservation officer at East Suffolk make of the assessment. So I put recommend approval subject to the ESC design and conservation officer being satisfied that the claims of low impact on the conservation area as no external impact and shop frontage retained are accurate. And then I put with a condition that the highways consultee responses reflected any conditions attaching to the consent. Would you be willing to add that other little bit in, Wendy, about subject to the design and conservation officer being happy? Then I'll second.
Any other comments? And a vote? That's everyone. 3977, land fronting 5 to 32 London Road North. Wendy.
I am delighted to be refusal of the PT hub in the middle of Station Square. Following on from the what is she? She's not ecology. She's not environment. What's her? She's
Economic
and business growth.
Yeah.
Of the Suffolk Council officer, fully support the Suffolk Council officers recommend to refuse. So I propose that we support them and we refuse it also.
Okay. Andy?
Yeah, a second. I mean, I have no personal objection, to be quite honest, and I am one of those dinosaurs who still use those public payphones when I leave my mobile at home. But you know, they're looking in fairly poor state. So I had no personal objection, but I read the comments about the being contrary to the master plan, the Lowestoft Town master plan, and also not in keeping with the conservation area. And I think on that basis, there's no choice. So I second Wendy's proposal.
Okay. Any other comments? Vote, please. Is everyone? 3978. Wendy.
Well, it ties into the previous recommend to refuse. So I recommend we refuse. Well, obviously they won't be needing it, will they? If they haven't got the.
And Andy?
Yeah, second, and also in the letter that Wendy and I both referred to, it does actually make specific reference to the illuminated consent, not preserving or enhancing the conservation area. So, yeah, second.
Okay. Any other comments? In a vote? That's everyone. 4153, 117 London Road North. Wendy.
Personally, I don't feel there's enough information on this one to make a decision. It's, you know, to get. I wondered where it was. I found out what it is now. So I know what it is. It's the picture studio, which has been there for years. Where is this outside staircase going to go? I just feel it was a very thin application. I'd like more information on it in terms of, I mean, no highways saying, well, it doesn't matter about driving, you're near the bus station, but it just seemed a bit thin to me.
Andy?
Yeah, I've just seen the answer to my query. I don't know why I didn't notice it this afternoon. I kind of agree, because although it's a variation of condition, it's a new planning application reference. So when I was looking at it, I was like, if it's a variation of condition, where's the original one? And I've just seen in the blue highlighted, it's DC 25 1074 FUL. So I guess the other information we need is going to be in the documents under there. And I didn't notice it before I came here. Because it's not a full planning application. It's just asking for variation of condition number 2 to be revisited. So the planning application itself appears to have been previously approved.
Not by us, it hasn't.
Well, no, because we're not the principal planning authority.
No, but we would have seen it.
Well,
we haven't. I don't think we've seen anything like. I don't think we haven't.
It's a variation of condition one, so it means it must be an approved application.
But all I'm saying is that if that is true, that there is an application that's already said that they can have these apartments. I can't remember us ever seeing.
The officers are just putting it up, look.
Yes, this was considered on the 10th of April 2025 meeting. Recommendation of approval of the application was submitted by the Town Council.
So in the, presumably on there, it will have the East Suffolk approval. Yeah, so at the top, could we see what condition number 2 was? What's being varied?
Andy?
Well, on the basis that the application itself has been approved in its entirety and the applicant is just trying to revise that condition, and I imagine it is because they want to change the drawings that are relevant, because it mentions that they've got to be strictly in accordance with that drawing number, and I think they've submitted new drawings to revise the layout. I mean, all I could do if the rest of the application is acceptable is do like a conditional approval subject to East Suffolk planning bit, accepting that actually this doesn't materially change the original consent, and I'll make that proposal.
Okay.
I couldn't see anything obvious to, if it's just a layout, particularly the fire exit from the building, but that there's no material change to the actual development, then I would propose cautious approval, subject to the Principal Planning Authority having no objection with the revised drawing.
Nice. And a vote? Everyone?
Taylor, when did we have that application?
April.
That was
April.
10th of April.
I
Yeah,
remember.
a while ago.
Feels like a lifetime. 3826. I was waiting for the fastest finger first then.
Oh, I think it's okay, yeah.
Wendy?
Propose approval.
Elise? Any other comments? And a vote? That's everyone. 3860. Wendy?
My own, I mean, basically, it's a very nice looking construction. I just would have liked to have been reassured that this is for personal use, the gym, and it's not going to open up as a little business.
It's in the back garden. It's not in
the Huh?
front. It's in the back garden. No,
Yeah.
It's not in the front.
No.
I wouldn't have thought it was going to be.
You can ask for a condition.
Propose. Why don't you ask that? We ask for assurance and a condition that it's for, for private use, not for commercial use.
I'm saying that is because if they wanted a gym for other people to use that wasn't just for private use, I'm not saying I'd refuse it, but I think the application needs to state,
It'd be a different application, wouldn't
You
it?
know,
Commercial application.
if it is for personal use or if it is actually going to be a little business. Well, maybe just ask for clarification.
Andy?
Well, I'll propose that we recommend approval subject to the fact that it's for personal use and non-commercial use.
Seconder? Elise? And a vote? That's everyone. 3790. Andy?
So I've got recommend approval, but ask that the applicant and Principal Planning Authority work to address the otherwise supportive neighbour request from 13 Snake Drive, which was relating to access within any consent that is given. They apparently have shared access on one of the boundaries.
Wendy?
But I have to say, I couldn't work out what the shared access would be. I looked at the picture, I couldn't work out what the problem was going to be, but obviously there is one.
They've made a statement on there. We're just asking them to work together like within the consent rather than come to dispute. But the neighbour said, providing they get reassurance on that point, they have no objection. So.
A vote? Everyone? 120 to note the following recommendations that were made under delegation when the committee did not meet on the 23rd. 121 to note the clarification received on application 3604 and consider the recommendation of the council. Do I have to read this? What do we do with this bit?
Oh, just to note for the committees, this was from a previous meeting. The applicant, the section under trees and hedges ticked yes and no for both sections. The committee requests to hold an objection till that's clarified, and that clarification has now been received. So the planning case officer has requested us to confirm if we are happy to remove the objection and what our recommendation would be.
Okay, Andy.
So they've actually submitted a new application, haven't they, which says that, so the revised application confirms that trees and hedges are present within falling distance of the development, but no removal of trees or hedges is proposed under this development. And on that basis, propose we recommend approval.
Okay, Seconder? Wendy? And a vote? That's everyone. 122 consultations. To consider the following consultations. 122.1 Suffolk Water Recycling, Transfer and Storage Winter Consultation.
I've asked, sorry, Chair, I've asked Michael to put it in the councillor update. I think I have. There's a consultation event on this in somewhere in the Lowestoft area on the 27th of November. You'll note from the briefing that the water storage is Lowestoft, and there's a reservoir very close to where I live as well. So they ran their consultation event yesterday in my hometown, and it's quite interesting to go along to. So if you can make it on the 27th November and then want to do your opinion after that,
Yes.
I would urge members to go. It's at Colville House, School Road, on Saturday the 29th of November. Hunters Hall, Colville
Victoria
House, School
Road.
Road.
You go down Victoria Road and it's a road off there, if I remember rightly. Andy?
That kind of ties in with what I had written. I didn't know there was a consultation, but I noticed that this consultation runs until the 10th of December. So I haven't read it. I've not been a member until very recently. I'm only a substitute member now. So I put, given that nearly a month remains on the consultation period, proposed deferral to allow proper consideration of the proposals.
Seconder for that? Please. And a vote? Is everyone? 122.2 East Suffolk Council Local Plan, Call for Sites. Andy?
So we know that because the original local plan, the Waveney local plan, it was due for review after 5 years. So obviously, the background to this is they're going to do a new local plan. This call for sites runs until the 9th of January. But obviously we've got a Christmas New Year closure. So I put, would really have liked to have worked with either the Neighbourhood Development Plan consultant and the bloke from the Town and Country Planning Association who's previously spoken to us on climate resilience. Don't know if time permits, but if there is, I would really like one of those to actually work with us to see if we can identify, sites around the issues and concerns that we have. I don't know whether time permits, but we've got the best part 2 months, so I would really like to engage with someone like that to help us put together a proper informed response.
Yeah, I was going to suggest to the committee, because this will be the start of the process for the new local plan, which we're very eager to engage on. So in terms of us submitting a consultation response to this, I was going to say, did the committee want to set up an independent standalone meeting to really go through the whole thing? And I can put out an invitation to one of those persons. Yeah.
Yes, please. I'm happy to propose that as well.
Can I comment though that this is a call for sites, and once the sites are called in, there will be a further consultation. So it might be at that stage that you want to engage and talk about what sites have been brought forward.
But the reason I asked is whether the engagement would actually help us to identify sites rather than us just sit, what do we know in our areas? What do we know where we go? Might that actually inform that process?
Is it not?
I don't know. Okay. If it's landowners only, it's irrelevant. But if it's actually, yeah, all right, Wendy. Yeah, I know, Wendy. I know you've got your hand up, but I was still speaking. So if it is landowners only, then it's a moot point. But if it was like anybody, like who could declare a valid reason, could call for sites for whatever reason in terms of strategic planning, then I would like us to work for our consultants. But if it's landowners only, then it's a moot point.
Go on, Wendy.
Yeah, my understanding is it might feed into their new neighbourhood plan, but it is actually asking people who own land if they want to, if they have they don't have a piece of land that they wish to say is open for development. I mean, that obviously in some ways we are landowners, so obviously I would hope that none of our sites would we would even consider handing them over for development. This is about finding places to develop. It's
To meet the housing target.
yeah. I don't think I don't, as we don't own anything like that, so our input will be very limited.
Could I just comment? I've just Googled call for sites. Call for sites is a process initiated by local planning authorities to identify potential development sites for future projects. It invites landowners, developers and community members to suggest suitable land for new homes, schools or business spaces. So I'm not saying, I mean, I agree with Wendy. I'm not sure that we want, we would want to identify land for, but it does suggest that it's open to more than just landowners. I don't know if we have any views on that. I can't remember, us saying, oh, well, we'd really like to build on that bit of green space.
Districts, and actually all the Suffolk districts are calling for sites at the moment because of new housing targets. It's really important that you engage in the development of the local plan, but at this stage, I think it's premature. You're better to wait until the sites have been submitted, and then you correspond and give your opinion on the sites that have come forward. If you believe they are suitable for development or not, and at that stage, they'll either get approved or rejected for inclusion in the local plan.
So that was all I was asking, is did we actually want to identify any sites ourselves? I don't know. I haven't got anything. No. The only thing I can think of that, I mean, we've already had tentative things about identifying. The only thing that at some point we as a town, not necessarily a parish, are going to have to deal with is cemetery space, because the cemeteries are full up. But whether that would happen within the context of a local plan or whether that's a separate process subject to separate legislation, I don't know. But we know that there's already been tentative things asking us to think about sites, and I don't know, but I think that's something that's, if this new local plan is meant to run till the late 2040s, I think that's going to be a topical issue. But in terms of areas large enough for consideration, I don't know.
So the context of the call for sites in this instance is calls for sites for housing development to meet the housing supply targets. Without doubt, you should engage in the local plan process and ask them to look at policies around burial land. But as I understand it, this is residential dwelling calls for sites.
Wendy.
Well, when I first saw this come out in the news, except on social media, East Suffolk calling for sites, I just thought, well, I hope they're just looking at the rest of East Suffolk and they're not just relying on Lowestoft to provide all the land. To be, it seems to me there are places in Suffolk far better served to have a.
Just on that then, Chair, so if it's more, once this first phase is passed, 9th of January, we'll be keeping an eye of when the next phase will commence, and at that point we'll work to get a standalone meeting sorted. The people that Councillor Pearce mentioned, if they'd be willing to come and speak, and then we can have whole committee meet and discuss it and get ready for the next round of consultation.
Okay. So we don't need to do anything on that at the moment then. 1, 2, 3. Date of next meeting is 27th of November at 18:45. 1, 2, 4 items for the next agenda to be sent in good time, and that's the end of the meeting.
I was going to ask for something to be added to the agenda, but if you want me to send it in, I don't mind.
You could say it.
Well, it's just that in the high street there's those shops and flats which caught fire. That's up for auction, and I think it would be good to note at the next planning committee meeting what's happened to them, if they're sold. And
Yep.
You're talking about near the Crown Hotel. That's been raised. It was raised at the quarterly liaison. I'm not saying we stop, because obviously it impacts really badly in that area. It looks terrible. They've cut up, the pavement's been cut off for well over a year. We seem to be, we did raise it and we got nods, but we haven't actually had nothing else seems to be happening. So but yeah, we should have it on the agenda, and we should, I think we should. Covering, haven't they, for the roof? So it's just the building is just gonna fall down. There's no work going on, and yet
when I was on planning before, and I haven't been on it since March because I stepped back in March and then didn't rejoin in May. So it must have been last year somewhere. We had an application came here for consultation, didn't we? Because they wanted to reinstate that, you know, as was, didn't they? Do you remember? Whoever, I don't know who bought it, but there was a planning application to actually reinstate the interior. No, it was restore, but it was restore faithful to the original. So, but they obviously haven't done that development, have they? If it's up for auction, that's what Christian just said.
Okay, we happy to finish, everyone? Thank you very much.
Is that for auction, Christian? The worrying thing is who will buy it.
Shh.